Yeah, land, I guess, is space that can be allocated to uses.
I think land can be many things and it has many meanings.
Ownership of a particular, maybe, part of the world or a site or a region.
What is land?
Yeah.
What is land? Oh, God.
Is it an area? Is it actually the land, like the actual, the physical stuff that you stand upon? The word land means landing.
Land is the ground, not in sea.
Land is everything beneath our feet, and that includes any natural resources underneath it.
It's an interesting question. You don't really think about it, what is land, but it's integral to our lives, isn't it?
It's everywhere really, because you have land in the bottom of the sea. It's everywhere really. I don't know how to explain it.
It's a great question. It's a great question. What do you think it is?
Land is everything. It's the most valuable thing on this planet.
Land is what belongs to us as a people.
Looking from the universe, it's the whole of the earth. There's a lot of land you can look down on.
For me, land is just anywhere you go really. It shouldn't have been owned, it should be free to anyone.
I think, except for the land under your house, or the land under the buildings that you're in, the government owns it.
I would say that everybody who belongs in that region or that part of the world or that house would have ownership.
No one owns anything except their property. Well, buildings is property. Well, lands and streets aren't really property.
If it wasn't for the way the world was made, we couldn't be able to, survive. The land is natural. It's Mother Nature.
Who owns land? Land. L-A-N-D. No one effectively. Oh, according to this man in the suit and tie, who looks like he knows what he's talking about, he said nobody effectively owns land. That's interesting. I think some people very effectively own land.
I think probably legally lots of different people own the land, from individual householders to people who have inherited large swathes of the land.
It's quite simple. The wealthy own the land. If you haven't got the money, you're not going to be able to purchase the land. It's that simple.
People historically have got nobility, titles, and lots of land in their histories and in their families now.
I guess you could break it down into landlords, people who own residential properties and so on. People who own larger pieces of land, maybe trusts.
I can only perhaps talk from my own personal experience, I think, that I own some freehold. Part of a little teeny weeny bit of land.
If you already have a surplus amount of money and you're not sure what to do with it, then we're kind of always encouraged to put it into property or put it into land or invest in things.
When we had social housing, up until the 70s or 80s, then in a way that social housing belonged to all of us. It kind of belonged to the people who lived there, but it kind of belonged to all of us. It was an asset for all of us, and there's very little social housing now, so it's all privatised, like everything else is privatised these days.
Private, belonging to or for the use of one particular person or group of people only.
I don't know, it's becoming quite bland in London. A pub or a school or a hospital closes down, immediately boards go up, luxury apartments are going to be built here. And you're never going to be able to afford any of them. They're just... So then in turn that pushes more middle class people out, and they go into areas that used to be working class.
I saw it estimated the other day that the average house of property in London is going to be 700,000 by 2020, and there's no way that excludes the whole bottom tier of society really from ever owning property in London.
There's in-work poverty at the moment. The gentrification is pushing local people out to areas that they have no connection with.
I had a guy recently in the cab, he said, I don't know where working people live. He said, people that keep London functioning, nurses and cab drivers, supermarket workers, where do you live?
Some people are living really fat lives from just you know, having an organisation where they can mine or they can take out resources out of a part of the world and leave people poor and destitute as well. It
shouldn't be an easy step for government and business to just wipe the concerns of those people off the decision-making process.
Profit's only made with minimal expense and maximum selling. It's a business, and you know, the corporate world will always benefit from it. The people aren't going to benefit anything from the land, whether it was their resources or not.
You need land, you need a home, you need your own land. If you want to grow a family, you need to kind of leave a legacy for your family as well.
For me, I've inherited from my father a little bit. He owned a tiny bit of land in London.
Like personally, obviously one day I want to own a house, I want to have my own place.
I would want to own my own businesses, and that means I would have to buy land or buy somewhere, but I would prefer to buy a building than buy a land. If I don't, there's that certain sense of instability.
I feel a security. If all else fails, I'll have somewhere to live, where I want to live. But I've worked very, 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 very hard since I was 12.
My great-grandmother, believe it or not, she was a Native American. She was an Arapaho Indian. And I really respect their way of life because they don't really have a sense of land ownership. They just, well, what's left of them. In a historic sense, they'd live off the land, they'd respect nature.
There's a basic principle. Each human being should have somewhere to live, enough food and water, a place to be with their own.
Yeah, you could say it would be fair, everyone should own a portion of land. But if that person has done nothing for society or never worked for it, then should they be entitled to it?
Say, like this street, all the people of the house should own the land of the road together and deal with it together.
If cities are created by the public, then there has to be a public consensus of what to do with it.
Maybe there's another way of looking at it, which is stewardship rather than ownership.
There are people that have great ideas that could do wonderful things with land. There are people that are trying to protect land. I believe it should be more of an equal share.
Balance of some people would be able to do a lot more with the land, help others or not help others, help themselves. And others it could be smaller, privately or, again, universally, government owned.
How that all works, I don't know, maybe this lady knows. Do you know how that all works? No? No, she hasn't thought about it either.
You know, you don't just give it out willy-nilly, but you know, you'd have a congress or somebody who would say, yeah, that person deserves something, or they need a community service or a centre, or they've got these good projects that they've got coming along, you know, and appropriate the money that way.
But just something that's in place to prevent things from ballooning out of entire control would be nice. But I think it's far too late for that now.
It could be different, but my cynical mind says we're stuck in a system that is not going to change unless we have a revolution.
It is a dog-eat-dog world, and it's each for their own. And as people, we will never change until something major arises that forces our hand.
In a way, we rent the land from God because we're here for a time. So, you know, we're born, we live, we move on. So it's not necessarily our home. It is our home, but only for a time in the grand, bigger picture, in the grand scheme of things.
I think that the land should be owned by the people.
I think there should be a bit more sea.